when I got called into work after reattesting, when I went into my workplace, I was stopped by the health and safety officer saying, you can't come in, you can't come to work here. And I'm like, well, I just got called in. And he was like, well, that doesn't matter because you're unvaccinated. Rather than just lie down and accept our fates, I know that a bunch of us Edmonton-based postal workers, we called a meeting, we met up in a park, we said to each other, we need to do something about this. What do we do? And from there, most of us were able to get connected with Posties for Freedom.
This is Kerry Diotte for Rebel News in Edmonton. Scores of Canadians have had their lives turned upside down because they refused to get the jab for COVID. Edmonton postal worker Aden Edey is one of them.
Hello, my name is Aden Edey. I am 25 years old. I work for Canada Post as an on-call postal clerk. So officially, I am kind of on leave without pay due to not adhering to the mandatory vaccine practice set out by Canada Post. And I say kind of because you're allowed to come in to a workplace as long as you attest to a specific exemption, even if your exemptions have gone denied. And as long as you're willing and able to attest, then they're willing and able to let you come to work until you attest too many times. In that case, you get fired.
And what has Canada Post done about it?
Well, the union attempted to protest such a policy by taking it to arbitration. Of course, during the arbitration, they selected as their key witness Colin Furness, who is not really someone who is, let's just say that he has bias. He's very much in favor of the vaccination policy. And so it's kind of weird.
The consequence to that seems to be pretty clear to me. We're going to have a pretty significant escalation. It's not a question of if, but when Omicron really starts to take off here. It could be quite soon. We might be able to hold it off with the travel restrictions we have, but it's going to involve having to close lots of things if we don't move with alacrity. And when I say alacrity, I mean yesterday. We cannot have people sitting in restaurants without masks and without air mitigation. You can't negotiate with the virus. You can't say, I was really good today and was on my own, so I'm going to go to a restaurant and I'm sure it will be fine. The fact of the matter is we can't negotiate with the virus. We can't bargain. We cannot schedule the virus. We can't do any of those things. And pretending we can is simply treating COVID like a political problem. That doesn't work out very well.
So from what I've heard, the corporation and the union are working together to try and bring us back to work. It has to be a gradual return to work because we've had people who are now taking our place in the workforce, and so they have to be reassigned somewhere else. I remember way back in late 2020, very shortly after I got hired at the company, when I got hired, masks were optional. And I thought to myself, wow, this is great. I am someone who deals with extreme sensory issues when I have to wear masks. I'm glad that I have the option not to torture myself by suffocating myself with this piece of cloth. This is going to be a really great place to work. And then later on, it turns out, no, masks are mandatory. And if you're not willing to wear a mask, then we're going to send you home. And as someone who works as a casual postal clerk, that is pretty much a death sentence because I can't get called into work. I can't come into the workplace. I have to turn down shifts. And if that happens enough times, then I get fired. And so at the time, I was very much concerned for my job security. And I thought, okay, you know what? As much as I don't like it, as much as it is causing me physical pain, I am going to have to wear these stupid masks. I went and spent $238 of my own money in order to acquire this piece of equipment. And for about a month or two, I ended up wearing it on the floor. But then I had a health and safety officer come up to me and say, no, you cannot wear that because it is not approved by Canada Post. You have to wear the mask that is being approved by Canada Post, which is either a regular medical mask or a special white cloth face mask. And if you're not willing to wear that kind of equipment, then you're going to be sent home. At first, it seemed like the union was pushing for rapid antigen tests to be distributed to people who weren't willing to get vaccinated, which is a compromise that I was totally fine with. And then that whole deal ended up falling through, and it became instead, well, if you want to keep on working, then you're going to have to get vaccinated, and if you're not going to get vaccinated, then we're going to have to kick you off the work floor, unless you're willing to attest to a religious exemption or a medical exemption. In that case, we'll keep you on for an extra couple of weeks, and if it works out, then great, you can keep working for us, and if it doesn't work out, then we're going to have to kick you out. In the aftermath of being put on leave without pay, I could just reattest and see what happened, and I got called into work. I was like, okay, this works. I guess I just need to reattest and wait for another exemption form to come in the mail, and I fill it in and send it back. When I got called into work after reattesting, when I went into my workplace, I was stopped by the health and safety officer saying, you can't come in, you can't come to work here. And I'm like, well, I just got called in. And he was like, well, that doesn't matter because you're unvaccinated.
Right. So what, I guess from the outside, you've probably heard this argument from people. Come on, just what's the big deal? It's just it's a shot. What's your objection? What's your quick answer to that?
My quick answer to that is that I understand why this is a policy. I understand that Canada Post wants to mitigate as much risk as possible because they don't want to get sued by someone whose relative just died of COVID because someone from the workplace came in and accidentally infected them with the virus. But at the same time, when this vaccine was being mandated, we had no idea as to whether or not it was going to be effective during the winter. We had no idea as to whether it was actually going to prevent people from getting the virus. And personally speaking, my first line of argumentation is that I don't want to get injected with a product that I don't even know if it actually works. And I would rather wait years, if that has to be the case, in order for a product to come to the market that I can fully believe in, before I'd be willing to get vaccinated.
The union has tried to stand up in some manner, but it hasn't seemed to help you in the long term. So
Not at all. Nope, not at all.
So where do you think the failure is? Is it just they've kind of rolled over with management, or they've fought as much as they can, or what's the story?
So this is personal speculation on my end. We haven't really had any confirmation from the side of management or from the union leadership as to what their mindset is. I think that the union leadership would say, well, we were just dealing with a case that was it was open and shut. We weren't going to be able to defend you guys. Sorry about that. But I know that the more that us postal workers have been able to dig in deeper, the more we've begun to realize, no, they could have made more of an effort. Eventually, there came a point where we realized that the union had no interest in fighting for us as much as they should have, and they weren't going to save our jobs. And rather than just lie down and accept our fates, I know that a bunch of us Edmonton-based postal workers, we called a meeting, we met up in a park, we said to each other, we need to do something about this. What do we do? And from there, most of us were able to get connected with Posties for Freedom.
So what is your status right now? What can you work? Will they call you into work? What's the scoop?
So I can probably be called into work as long as I'm attesting for an exemption. Recently, I tried pursuing a human rights exemption. I'm pretty sure that got denied as well. I know that past July 6th, I won't have any worries. I can get called in whenever they need me. However, I do think that once the autumn rolls around, whether it's in September or October or whenever they decide to bring that back, these restrictions, I'm probably going to be put on leave without pay again. I don't know if I'll have permanent status by then. And I'm just going to have to pray to God that I can attest again, because I need the hours. I need a job. I have about a month's worth of savings left over. I have a $5,000 debt that I need to pay off that I can't pay off right now because I just don't have enough money.
With the changing rules, Aden is hopeful that he will once again get some shifts at Canada Post. But then again, that could all change when we get yet another wave of this so-called pandemic. Reporting from Edmonton, this is Kerry Diotte for Rebel News. For more news like this that you can't get anywhere else, go to rebelnews.com.